Welcome back to the Tech and Real Estate Podcast. I'm thrilled to have Dana, the founder of Hemlane, a prop tech platform transforming property management. Dana has combined her background in technology with real estate experience to solve key pain points for self-managing landlords. We'll discuss how Hemlane simplifies property management and makes it easier to manage rentals remotely, as well as a demo. Let's get started. Hey, Dana, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me today.
I am super excited to have our discussion. I mean, you've been able to do so much in the real estate space over the last several years, building your own company. Before we get into that, we'd love to hear a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I didn't come from a family in real estate. Usually, when I talk to other real estate investors, they came from a family of real estate where they were born and raised into it and essentially went from like showing to showing and whatever they were doing, rehabs with their parents, etc. I didn't. My dad was an engineer, my mom, a scientist. And so, from that perspective, definitely school was really important to us. And then for me, it was kind of the next wave of things with going into technology. And so, after I graduated from college, I was in Silicon Valley and I was working at Silicon Valley. I started at Symantec, which is the security software company, and then went over to Apple. I got a call from Apple and they said, hey, we'd be interested in having you come join our team. And it was it was financial planning and analysis, but essentially forecasting the demand and looking at new opportunities of new products that were going to be launched. And so I thought that sounded exciting. So went and accepted the job offer. And at that point, it was 2010. And so, probably one of the best times to purchase real estate. And had I known that and been a little bit older and a little bit wiser, I think I would have put a lot more money into real estate investing. But what then got me into it was my older sister and her husband got very excited about what was happening and looking at real estate and investing in it. And so collaborated with them on what we could do there to not only invest in real estate, which now my husband and I are invested in Florida near you, but also how to manage it. So once you get the properties, how do you manage it? And so it was really interesting because it was a personal a pain point for people that I knew, but not something that I was like born with. I didn't dream to go into real estate initially, but I saw that, hey, technology has advanced so much. You can use your phone to do anything. In real estate, it's still very brick and mortar for good reasons. But how do you complement that with technology? And how do you seamlessly and cohesively bring people together through a tech platform to make it easier to invest and manage in properties? And obviously, my bread and butter on it has always been on the management side.
Excellent. So you didn't end up starting as a real estate investor, but you had a career close to tech, and then with family also being in real estate, you start to see, there are some pain points here in the space, and specifically with managing properties as well. So when you start to look more into this pain point, was it geared towards the mom and pop investor to serve, or more so that property manager with 100 plus units?
I saw that property managers already had tools for them. So I was actually not that interested in providing another software tool. One, I think SaaS, so software as a service, is a race to the bottom. It's very easy to build. It's even easier to build now with AI and all of the, I would say, platforms out there that make it a plug and play for you to be able to build a platform. And so for me, it was like building the next Appfolio or building the next Yardi or Buildium. That wasn't of interest to me because that was already done. What I saw is really the struggle is with the retail investor, so the small mom and pop, who basically says, I could hire a traditional property manager. That will be about 10% of monthly rent. Could be lower the more properties you have, or I can do it myself. And what I found, and the numbers are from the Bureau, kind of back it up, majority of people, so 72%, self-manage their properties. And then you kind of get into it. It's like if you have an asset that's worth, over $200,000, why are you self-managing this, right? Like, why can't you pay a little bit? But it was almost this kind of all or none. What I thought would be most exciting about it, it would be how do you make it easier for them to get an affordable alternative to traditional management? And don't get me wrong, like for us, we actually work and partner with traditional property managers. They might do some things for us, like they might do the leasing for the owner. They may help with some sort of turnover or whatever it may be that needs in person, the human component of it. But at the same time, there's so much of it, like rent collection and preparing leases, that you can do this stuff online. You can do e-signature online. You don't need to go and print out this document and scan it, et cetera. And so for me, it was really kind of unbundling the industry and the tasks to be done and saying, what is better for software to do? What is better for humans to do? And then if humans are going to do it, how do we bifurcate it into two different paths? One is you physically need someone there to do it, which is a lot of the time. And then there's other times where it's like, hey, you could do this remotely. And so really thinking about that holistically helped build what we have today, which is Hemlane. And it's a property management platform that helps you manage your rental properties no matter where you are. You can go ahead and manage them remotely.
Wow, that's excellent. I love the method of how you thought and tried to break down the problem. Like what could be automated? What still needs a human element? How do we support technology with the human element? I find out today a lot of entrepreneurs want, especially those that are coming to the real estate space and prop tech, want to just automate everything. That's the human element. But especially with real estate, there's still like a lot of human element that's required and actually a great part about the business. Have you seen that trying to automate everything can sometimes be detriment?
Yeah. So I do think there's certain things that you can automate or that you still need a human for. So I've kind of been pitched from quite a few companies that's like, oh, we can just have AI do the repair coordination. Or we've automated the whole process of repair coordination. Dana, I still can't believe you have humans who like pick up the phone and talk to service professionals. And I call a little bit of BS on that because there are certain things that you would say you shouldn't have a human do this. It's better that the technology does it. But I also think people want to talk to people. And for example, in the service professional industry, the best service professionals don't need more business. Like actually, we have a huge problem with tradesmen in this day and age where there's just not enough quality tradesmen out there. And so when you call like good luck calling a handyman who you know is going to like do things on time at a good price, et cetera. And so if you're just using technology and sending out work orders and being like, hey, and you can never talk to a human here, just do this and, upload your price and we might, negotiate with you on it and the technology will. That if they're a really top like general contractor or something, they're just going to be like, oh, nope, see you later. And so for us, I think it's still really important to have a human involved to call and just say, hey, I am Sebastian with Hemlane. I'm not sure if you've heard about us. We help with the repair coordination of over 28,000 rentals. And the second you say that, the service professional is like 28,000 rentals. Shoot, I'm going to be really good with this person because I want to keep this business. And so I think, building the relationship from that perspective really helps. But then the owner doesn't have to do it. And what I love about that is a lot of times when the owner gets involved, they like almost mess it up more because they don't know how to do something. Like a perfect example is like if the heat's out, they're like, oh my gosh. And it's like, 10 p.m. They're like, oh my gosh, we got to get an HVAC person out right away. And the biggest question is like, okay, well, how much is an HVAC person going to cost to get them out right away? What about if we just get a portable heater? You can get one at Walmart and you can get that for like, $50 to $60 and get that for the bedrooms where they sleep. And in the morning, send out the HVAC professional. So there's certain things that you could do to help mitigate the risk of the tenant being uncomfortable in some sort of emergency situation and also thinking about your costs because sometimes you'll send out the HVAC professional at 10 p.m. and then still they can't fix it. They need the part and like the tenants are still screwed at night. And so I think there's just that of like, if you have subject matter experts helping you and we have the right people in the right positions, it makes it so much easier for you with your real estate investments to feel like your property is well taken care of.
Excellent. Yeah, I could see the value and would love at this stage to be able to kind of peek into Hemlane and see how it actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and get started. So this is the dashboard right here. And so you'll see this says good morning, Brad. Reason is I'm actually in San Francisco, so it is morning right now. They'll have a task to complete. Your onboarding tasks are here, but everything that I need to do is here. So if I am a real estate investor and I need to approve a maintenance repair or go ahead and request a background and credit check because the tenant has moved through the next step of the process, I can do that here. And so I can just look here and see what do I need to do here. This is everyone's favorite tab. So I'm just going to go right to the services tab because what you'll see here is that these are the services you can get. So the whole thing that we like to promote is that we're a platform. We ourselves are not a just a software. And so you can go ahead and get whatever services you want. In this case, I'm signed into Leasing Plus, which is self-guided tour technology. So I have self-guided tours for the properties at hand. I can go to this tab and just see everything going on with my properties. You know, how many unread messages, how many prospective tenants I have, and I can talk to the coordinator. I could go into this request and talk to the coordinator here at any point. Then we also have some other services that are third party. So like tenant perks is where the tenants can boost their credit score. And they also get renter rewards for paying on time. So we try to promote for them to pay rent on time. So you can go through and just learn about any of these and I can click activate and activate this service at any time. So the services is what really differentiates us. This is something that our competitors do not have. One of the ones, actually, this is the fastest growing one, is Evictions Plus. This is basically a way to ensure that your tenants always pay rent on time. So if your tenant doesn't pay rent on time, we will have a mediator go out and talk to the tenant, understand what position they're in. Will we be able to get them to pay rent at what time? Or do we think that they're not going to be able to pay rent? Can we get them a rental assistance? If we can't get them rental assistance, should they move out and we do an early termination? If they're not willing to move out or we think this is going to go to an eviction, then we'll take those steps. But the goal is to say, hey, let's try not to take this to court because that's always more expensive and more time for the owner. Let's go ahead and figure out what's happening and try to reduce that cost overall. And so with this one, you can get it for as low as $4.95 per month. And so that's the eviction one. Then here under marketing, this is where we advertise your rental property. So we'll go ahead and advertise it over, and sorry, my internet's a little bit slow here. Let me just refresh it. We'll advertise it to over 15 rental listing websites. We actually used to do 30 rental listing websites. And then we found out that majority of them got 0 leads. And so we really said, what are the top listing websites? And so you can go into any of these. You'll see we do multifamily. We also do single family. And you'll see everywhere that we're going to be advertising your property. And you can click on these links and it will take you directly to the listing there. You can always update your description, photos, etc. here. From all of the listing websites that we send you to, those prospective tenants will go ahead and be listed here under prospective tenants. And so these are approved applicants. So these are ones that we've approved. It will tell you exactly what the next step is for you to do. Like you need to finish the lease, do e-signing in the app, or fill out the lease template, request a deposit, request security deposit. So it will walk you through every step of the way. Here under applicants, these are the ones who've applied, but we haven't approved them. So what I can do is I can view the completed application. I can see just high level where they are. Like they haven't had a showing yet. And so usually we'd say like, hey, you need a showing before move-in or approval. You can view their credit score. We also have the full comprehensive background check. Bankruptcy is included in there, criminal report, eviction record as well. And then the recommendation here is conditional. So we're saying, hey, it does not meet the requirements. Either get additional security deposit, cosigner, etc. And then inquiries here will be all of those who've inquired about your property. and you'll have a list of everyone. So regardless of what website they've come from, they'll be listed there. I can always go into here and see much more information about the person, go to messages and message them at any time. Do you have a time this week for the showing? I can see the application, the background and credit check. I can just go in and view the application here and just go through the whole process. So everything is in here for you. Once the tenants move in, you'll see here that you can message, you could do a mass message. I know we're talking about the hurricane. So you could do a mass message here to all your tenants regarding the hurricane and what kind of preventative actions they can take immediately. You can also add tenants in here, see all the leases, how many are on a month to month, how many are coming up for expiration, do lease renewals, etc. Financials is one that folks love. What you can do is request money. So this would also be under your tasks to set up rent collection, but you can request anything. So I could go in here and go to one of my properties and say, great, Deborah is like maybe someone who works with me. I could go ahead and say, and I can have multiple LLCs. I can go in here and request for anything. And so it works with tenants, but it also works with any team members that you may have, a service professional, et cetera. You can do all of that directly here in the app. And this is actually physically requesting the money. So you'd set up recurring rent collection, you'd see it here. It would automatically mark it as complete. If for some reason the tenant pays offline, you can just go ahead and record the payment or mark it as uncollectible with the date right there. We also have here under actions here, you can go ahead and upload invoices and all of that as well. So you would be able to go ahead and have receipts and all of that in here for your accountant. Transactions here is called bank sync. So this is where essentially we sync with your bank accounts and you have a full accounting platform. So from there, you'll be able to go ahead and merge transactions. If something looks like they're the same, you could click yes, merge transaction. There's also this needs review. So this is where we would say, great, you need to record what this goes to. Is this a security deposit? Is this maintenance and repair? If it's been paid on Hemlane, we're automatically going to mark it to which category it is. And then if it's not on Hemlane, you would be able to go through and put it in here. And it looks like I don't have anyone's there let me just click that again for review, but you can go ahead and do that. And then what you'll see here on the last tab is you're going to go ahead and see your settings. So under your settings here, you're going to be able to see all of your categories. You can customize these. And so you have your full financial statement. You also have all your bank accounts here. So you can remove a bank, sync a bank, etc., and see the balance. And so I could assign like whatever category this is, I could assign it to a specific property or just basically have it assigned to any properties. And every time I fill out which property it's associated with. Finally, maintenance and repair. This is the most beloved ones. So here under the instructions is where I fill out exactly how I want things to be handled. So what threshold would I go ahead and go through and say, you need my approval. You need to call me because it's over this amount. And the same for an emergency threshold. Here I can drag and drop people. So I can put my own service professionals in here or use Hemlane's network. And then from there, when I go down here, there's a billing contact. So this is the person who pays for those invoices. We do the payments online and it's single-use credit cards. And the benefit of a single-use credit card is that whether it's a handyman or general contractor or an electrician, they're not going to get access to your credit card number. They're not going to get access to your bank information. It's all secure. And then down here, you can go ahead and put access points, like where's the water shut off, all of that in here, and then tenant responsibilities and additional instructions. You can add your own service professionals or use ours, and then you'll have a dedicated repair coordinator. And so what you'll see is Dawson is my repair coordinator here. At any time I can talk to him. I can also hide from the tenant and just talk to Dawson here if I want to do that through there. And so I'll be able to see exactly where it is. This is in sourcing status with Paul's Plumbing and see everything going on there. Finally, we have reports. So under reports, you'll see the 3 financial statements that we have here. You'll be able to see all of your income. You can do it for all properties or you can break it down for a certain property that you have here. And then you can go ahead and download it at any time. And so you have your cash flow, your income statement, and your lease ledger all here to go through. You can choose which months you want, et cetera, how you want it displayed, and just download it. So it makes it super, super easy for your accountant. And finally, you can add people to your team. So if you say, hey, I went in on this property with someone else, you can add them at no additional cost directly to there. So that is a quick overview of Hemlane. Hopefully that's helpful. And I would love to answer any questions.
Absolutely mind blown. I mean, from end to end, from helping to source tenants, from the accounting aspect, all the way down to maintenance. So managing the rental as well and the eviction aspect too. I mean, it must have taken you and your team so much time to really fill out the end to end process. Just curious, when you first started the product, where were you first focusing your attention towards?
Yeah, good question. It's really interesting. When we started it, the first thing we built was rent collection. And actually, no, that's a lie. It was background and credit checks and then rent collection. And if I would have done it all over again, I would have done it differently because rent collection is an interesting one. Love it or hate it, it's really hard to do because of fraud. So by the nature of someone logging into Hemlane as an LLC, you don't know because you're allowing people to send just like Venmo or PayPal any amount of money back and forth to one another. What you'll see happen is it attracts a lot of fraudsters who've stolen people's bank information somewhere else and try to use the platform. And so what basically happened was we spent a lot of time, and I would say that we're one of the strongest platforms on fraud detection. And we had to build an entire system just to be able to screen for that and make sure we're secure. But it was at the risk of not talking to customers, understanding the services component, et cetera. And so if I would have done it all over again, I think I would have focused on just finding and placing a tenant. How do you get everyone on the platform and help them? And we do it for free. There's a free package to help find and place the tenant. Um, how can we just get everyone on the platform to do that and experience it and then add everything else later? So sequencing of it is really interesting, especially when you build a business. It's like, what do you build first? What do you build second? And I think everyone's very critical of what they build first and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have built that first. But overall, one of our insights was you need it all. And especially the services. You really need these services for everyone. And so this is really where we spend most of our time is how do we give you more and better services?
Huge. I mean, I can't even tell you myself and other investors that I've worked with where it's literally just like tabs and tabs and tabs of different services, things that you're trying to track. And when it comes to accounting season as well, it's a nightmare. So this really makes it seamless and solves that issue. Now, going towards the maintenance and repair aspect, huge pain point that you solve here, right? A lot of investors either don't want to continue with investing or are scared to even get started because they're like, I don't want to get that call at 9 p.m. about the toilet leaking. Like, I don't want to solve that problem at that time. But here, and if you could maybe fill in any gaps that I might have, it seems that you can put your preferred providers to be able to go out for different types of tasks. Mm-hmm. And that can all be handled on Hemlane side, where like that 9 p.m. Call instead is directed on the platform and solved where maybe if it's going to be a repair over a certain threshold is when you get the notification.
Yeah, you only get the call from us if it's over your thresholds. And some folks will put that threshold so high of like, basically only if it's my insurance is called, please call me. And it's not that we'll give that price. Like, let's just say we're sending out Pete's Plumbing. We're not going to say Pete's Plumbing, there's a $500 threshold. So if it's anything under that, feel free to move forward. No, we'll ask them, what's your service call rate? It's usually listed if it's your own service professionals. We have ours on the back end, but what you can see here is you can edit everything, but it will also have pricing. So this is $89 fixed fee. So we know it's $89 to go out. So when we talk to them on the phone, and we know they're 24/7 emergency, when we talk to them on the phone, we're going to say, if it's over your $89 service call rate, please go ahead and give us a call because we need to approve this. And then they'll give us a call when they're on site, and then we'll look at the price and say, oh, does this sound reasonable, et cetera, based on our own pricing list of what we consider reasonable. And then also, is it over the owner's threshold? Do we need to get them involved for approval?
Wow, the level of transparency. I mean, there's been a lot of times, again, with like management companies that have their own independent businesses, and investors will get worried because I have, no idea what the levels are, like thresholds for each of these separate services. Am I being overcharged? And the level of transparency here is really amazing to have that investor feel at ease.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was the goal. And what's interesting, what makes this different than, I would say, the traditional repairs is how a property management platform was built for a property manager does not allow the owner to see the communications. In our case, the owner can see every communication with every tenant at any time. So they are never confused or concerned about what is going on.
So, Dana, for those that want to get started, do you recommend that they wait till they get their, fifth, 10th rental, or can you start with rental number one on the platform?
I would just start with rental number one. Most folks come to us, most real estate investors come when they have a vacancy. But if you have a tenant in your property, it's never too late to get started. We'll go ahead and do a change in management form or whatever's needed and help you with the onboarding. We do provide free onboarding and free support with the platform as well.
Excellent. So for those to get started, check out hemlane.com. And for those that want to learn more about you, Dana, how would they follow your journey?
Yeah, you can go ahead and follow my journey by going to Twitter. You can find Dana, or it's Dana110100. Or you can just follow Hemlane on there and tag and at me at anything. And then if you have any specific questions about your property management, I always love to help kind of point you in the right direction. So you can also email me, Dana, DANA, at Hemlane, HEMLANE.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dana, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.